I just tried an export to QuickBooks Enterprise from Cin7 and I got an error message. I'm Lance with Brando Consulting, inventory software expert since 2006. In this video, we are going to troubleshoot this error and solve it. So here we are on the export to QuickBooks screen in Cin7. It says refresh after running QuickBooks Connector. This is QuickBooks Connector. So after we run this, we'll refresh and see the results. You'll see on this line right here, import orders, we're importing sales orders into QuickBooks, which will create an invoice or otherwise a sales transaction. And I got this error message right here. And the error message, if we look close, tells us QuickBook error with a colon, and then it tells the error. Transaction sales tax is currently disabled by preference. So it was unable to go to QuickBooks because I don't have sales tax turned on. So we'll open up QuickBooks, go to Edit, Preferences, Sales Tax, Company Preferences, boop, turn sales tax on. We may need to choose a most common sales tax. Let's see if none works. Currently I just have tax and none, so I'm going to OK. Make all existing customers taxable. Makes yep. OK, looks good. Must close all its open windows. Sounds good. Alright. Now I'm going to close those error messages. Try this again. We've got QuickBooks Web Connector. Okay, we've got Cin7 connected to the proper file. And then this button here says Update Selected. This is the integration that is selected. So we're going to click Update Selected, doing its thing. Okay, it's finished. So we'll come here and click Refresh after running QuickBooks Connector. You see it refreshes and refreshes. So let's try this again. We'll click Choose. Doesn't seem to make the error go away, so I'm going to choose that. Try the import again. It says queued. It's queued up to export or to update. Export and import is quite a relative term, isn't it? Depends on what perspective you're looking at. So data moving from Cin7 to QuickBooks. Now let's refresh and see if that error message goes away. The queued went away, but the error is still there. It looks like we need to try something else. Actually, if we look at this error closely, this is a different error. So we've actually made progress. You have no items or one or more of your amounts is not associated with an item. Please enter an item. So let's fix this problem. We need the item in QuickBooks. The item that we're using on the sales order needs to be in QuickBooks. In other software programs, the item list is not synced completely, meaning the inventory tracking software does not have a one-to-one ratio on the item list. Not every item in the inventory software is in QuickBooks. Instead, how the designers and developers set it up is the inventory items and the items in the inventory software all map to one item in QuickBooks. So that's what Cin7 does as well, is instead of mapping every single item from Cin7 to the exact same identical item in QuickBooks, it maps to one. So let me show you here. We're going to go to Setup, Accounting, and Default Accounts. And this is where we read the instructions. It says Sales Account, create service items, quote, Cin7 space sales account, quote, and Cin7 freight sales account. Then click Get Tax Accounts. That's what we're going to do. So we'll go over to QuickBooks and to the item list here, go to Items, click New, create a service type part, and call it exactly what Cin7 told us to call it. We'll go here and click there and assign it to an income account, one of these. I'll just do sales income. Click OK. Looks like there's a required custom field. Okay, you probably won't have required custom fields, but I did. Then the other one, Cin7 says another service item called Cin7 Freight Sales Account. So this one is called Freight Sales Account. This freight income. Let's check and see if there's any others. Then click Get Tax and Account Codes to download these. Okay, so we've created the required items. Now we just have to tell Cin7 that those items are there. So we'll go run the sync and tell Cin7 that they're there. It says Get Tax and Account Codes. So we'll go back to Accounting, QuickBooks Enterprise, and Get Tax and Account Codes. All right, so that's queued up. Then we want to run this guy here. Now that it's queued up, let's go ahead and check and update selected. All right, so we've got that. Click refresh, and okay, so we're going to go to the setup instead of the export area. Go to setup, QuickBooks Enterprise setup, default accounts. Now that we have items set up in QuickBooks, we can come here and select the item. We've got Cin7 sales account. We clicked Get Tax Account Codes to download. So we have that. After a brief interaction with Cin7 tech support, they told me that their instructions were slightly off and they were missing a dash. So we entered the dash into the instructions this time. These are the instructions we're talking about. They're going to fix that. Thanks, Cin7. So now that we have the dash in there, we're able to load these fields in the correct spot. So make sure you have a dash. All right, let's go finish what we were doing and send those orders over to QuickBooks now. Get that queued up. We'll run the QuickBooks web connector, get that running. Okay, we ran the QuickBooks web connector. Now let's refresh. Looks like we're still getting an error. Have no items or one or more of your amounts. We're still getting the item error. This is the invoice that's not going over. We're going to go take a look at this order. That doesn't look like the one. Invoice 4799 or TBU 5036-1. TBUS 5036-1. Yep, that's it. The status is fully dispatched. Has an invoice date in the past. Let's go back to accounting. Appear when they have an invoice, they assign a customer. Still getting this message. Please set up your accounts by selecting default accounts and tax rates. Accounts are set up. Looks like this one is mapped to the wrong one. Let's try that now. Click finish. Okay, that QuickBooks web connector again, as we do have that queued up, ready to go over. Okay, that's done. Now let's refresh. Still getting the error. Okay, after pushing pause and running it again, it worked this time. The error message is gone, and we've got something else queued up, so I'm going to run this again. Okay, it was ran again, so I'm going to click refresh, and there we go. No error messages. That's exciting. So my suspicion is over here on this screen, after we did the setup on the default accounts, I needed to click finish right there to make sure that those were in there. So make sure you create the items as services in QuickBooks. Make sure there's a dash in between them. And once you pull it over, click finish to make sure that's in there. So let's take a look at the transaction that went over to QuickBooks now. Over on the sales screen, we should see that sales order. It was TBU S5036-1. And the customer name was Ian Randall with Company Test Business. And there's our invoice. Look at that. So see how Cin7 is using the exact same item code each time. Other inventory tracking software programs that integrate with QuickBooks do this exact same thing. What you need to do is customize your data layout right here. Customize your data layout so the item code on the printout no longer shows item code. On the print section right here, we'll uncheck this. I'll create another video on how to create this invoice. So there we go. We've got the error message troubleshooted and our first order exported to QuickBooks.